Hello friends, welcome to Salesforce CRM Analytics video session 179. So basically in today's video, we will actually understand the time series functionality, one of the functionalities which is present under the compare table. And I will just walk you through that. Honestly, to understand that, we also need to understand a bit on the discovery part, a bit on the statistics part. I won't walk through that much detail. We will try to understand as much as we can from the analytics point of view. Okay. So there are some models, related to which some predictions are made at time series, but we won't go in that much of deeper extent. We will try to understand from analytics perspective whatever we need to understand. And again, honestly, I haven't applied this much uh, in my experience as a CMITS developer, something very less. But yeah, we can just understand as it's part of it. And in some way, if you want to proceed more and understand further, you can just take it as the base point, as the starting point, and do your analysis on it further. Okay. So yeah, I will take you on a base level and I will leave you over there. Probably you can experiment and understand a bit more on the deeper side if you really want to. Okay. So first of all, we will again go to this Analytics Studio and we will deal with the same data set which we have been dealing till now. So as you already know, we will go to the compare table over here. And for time series, of course, we're going to get something from the date side. Okay. Now, when I click on the date side, let's say I go for year, month. Okay. And for example, let's say I go for, I mean, this is in ascending order, which is fine. Okay. Now, what I will do is I will just click on this add formula. Now, once I click on this add formula, if you see here, this is disabled. Okay, by default, this will be disabled. Now, something is written over here. To use this feature, create a lens in compact form 1.0. So that's the first condition. Like if you want to utilize this functionality, you have to ensure that you are using lens compact 1.0. Okay, so this is like lens compact 2.0. But how we can use that? Now, what I will do is I will just close this and I will just click on this button and I will just go for create lens compact from 1.0. Okay. Now over here, we will again go for opportunity closed. Let's say you go for year month. And once again, you will go over here on the compare table. Now, once you go to the compare table, like this, I will just go for sort ascending, which is fine. So this is like lens compact 1.0. Okay. Return to initial view, it will return to the other view, okay, which you get to see over here. But this is like lens compact 1.0. And here, once you again now come to this add formula, you will get to see that it got enabled for you. Fine. Now, time series got enabled. Now, what we will do is we will quickly read through the definition. So, what is the time series? Okay, if you go through this part, it says predict data points for the selected column. For the selected column, it will predict the data points. And what is the column? Column is nothing but the column to predict on. You have to select that column where you want to predict that data point. And prediction for number of data points to predict. Okay, seasonality pattern. Prediction model is ignore loss. Okay, now we won't go through much on this seasonality and prediction model. Fine, as I told you, there are some bit of statistics is involved to actually go through that. I will not go through on detail, but I will just tell you from an admin point of view in cinematics how that can be done. And later on, maybe if you want, you can go further, dig deep down into it and get to know it much better if you are having interest on it. Okay. Now, firstly, we are having the count of rows on the column, which is fine. On this count of rows, we are going to do that. Okay. So that is completely fine. And the thing is that how much prediction points we need on this. Okay. So basically the prediction points which I need, let's say is till as of now, I will go for 3. Okay. Let's say start with 0. If I give 0 prediction point, let's understand what it will do. Okay. So I am keeping the season and prediction model auto. Now, if you see over here, I have the count of rows, okay, which has been calculated through this prediction model of time series. It is nothing but, I have to 20, 34, 0. Now, one thing to observe over here, when you have the, like in my case, the close date, if you see, like, the 2030 is starting from 2030, 5th of the month, and basically it's ending on 2034, 0. Now, if you see over here, there are some year month where the data doesn't exist. For example, if you see, it's like 032, 1, 2, 3, it doesn't have the 4th. That is the April month is not there, 2032, 4. In my case, after 2032, like the June, July, okay, the 0607 up till 12th, for 2032 up till 12 is not there. And again, the starting 7 months are not there for the year 2034, as well as, 2033 is not available at all. Okay. So that's how this is working out. Now, what it does is, for example, if you put the prediction points as 0, whichever is the last point, right? For example, in my case, okay, it's like 203408. So if it is 0, like whichever year you want to predict till compared to that last date which you have, it will go for that extension when you give the prediction points. For example, if I go for the prediction point of 2, so 2034-08 being the last date, it will predict till 2034-010. Okay, so now if I click on apply, okay, you will see that it's up till 2034-10. Okay, now if I increase that to 4, automatically it will be 2034-12. Okay, so if I increase that to 4, you will see automatically it's there till 2034-12. Okay, so the basic thing is that what this time series does, as is written on the definition as well, predict data points for the selected columns. So what happens is, for example, if you see here, I don't know the count of rows, right? I don't know the count of rows which I might be having for 2032, for example, 04, for 2032, 06, for 2032, 07. Now, that is something which I'll be getting over here. So if you see over here for 2032, okay, 04, okay, for 2032, 06, for 2032, 07, all those points, okay, which is null by default, right? So this dash means it's null by default, right? Now that part itself doesn't exist when you just go for this opportunity close date, okay? But when I go for the time series part, automatically those months will also pop up. So that is one thing, like any months for which you don't have data, that month won't show up in Salesforce CRM Analytics. But if you select this data time series functionalities, it will ensure whichever gap is there in a particular month. For example, in this case, it's like 2032-04, as well as you have 2032-06, 0708, okay, as well as the whole year of 2033, isn't it? For those points, it will ensure that data gets mapped. Okay, so basically it just maps it like how that data points will be, although it's missing, but what could have been a probability for which some data points it could have. For example, instead of like there are two up till 2032-03, it's like you have two datas, and the 2032-05 it's a one. So there's a probability that in 2022-04 you can have somewhere between 1.52. Okay, so there is some statistical calculation defined which we won't walk through for this video, but I hope from an Arabic perspective you understand how this particular thing will match up. Okay, so that's all about this prediction part. I hope it is clear, like whichever year will be your last, okay, based on that, after that, how many prediction points you want further, it will show up based on this prediction point. For example, again, if I go for 5, it will show up me 2035-01 as well. Okay, so that's the thing which you get to see over here. Okay, now another thing is like you have the seasonality. Now basically, like as I told you, this whole thing, there's certain calculation which is involved. So when you're selecting time series, it basically maps all those points where for a particular month, for a certain year, the data are missing. In that case, what it will do is some kind of statistical calculation involved where it will ensure that those data gets mapped up, and it will change the values to a certain extent. For example, you see the 9 is 9, the 13 is like 12.9, 21 is like 20.93, 24. So all this certain calculation is done where a certain points will be increased or decreased based upon to ensure that the whole points get mapped. Okay, so that's the whole thing about uh, seasonality. Now there are many things that's the whole thing about this time series. Now there are many things. For example, you have the seasonality. Like if you want, you can go for none. Okay, if you want, you can go for 4 is like a quarter period, right? So based upon if you go to 4, okay, that's how this will come up. Okay, so based upon the quarterly, how that can be calculated, that it shows up over here. Okay, and like if you go to the last section where we have all these points, right? We will be able to understand that better. Okay, so where you see these points, like here are the points which are missing. So if you go for a 4, it's like based on quarter, it will do the calculation. If you go up on 12, it's like on yearly basis, it will do the calculation. In that case, you see the count of rows will remain the same, and after that, it might do certain other calculations. But again, in this case, like if you go for yearly, at the end of the day, it will almost remain the same. Okay, that's the thing. But when you go for 4, it's like quarterly is being done. Okay, again, it's not that much easy to understand the way I'm explaining. Probably I'm explaining a very simple language, and I'm just going through a gist of it. But as I told you, if you want to explore that part a bit deeper, you can actually go through that. I won't be going through that part. uh, but yeah, I will just leave you at the point of ensuring how this particular comes up, and maybe you can do your own research. Then there's a prediction model. Certain prediction model is being followed, okay, which is also related to statistics. We won't go through, but example, if you go for additive, okay, that's how this whole calculation is done. If you see, it's more or less like remains the same. Okay, even if you go for C74, the main thing to note here is like when you go for C74 and when you are going for prediction model additive, the values will be remaining same more or less, but the changes where there is null. For example, we don't have the data points 2022-04, 22-06. Some kind of calculation is done, and for which this part comes up. Okay, if you go for additive, and similarly, let's say if I go for C9012, and you will see that there will be again, it's like seasonality 12. Okay, even if you go for additive, like there will be a no change at all. Okay, but if you if you go for 4, you will be able to see that it will remain same with additive model, but certain points where there is none, it will show up the value. Okay, that probably could have come up. Fine. Now basically this is like a season wise. Okay, to remember over here, so what it does is basically a season is like a quarter. So depending upon how the quarter was, for example, 5, 6, 7, 8, this was the quarter, how the data point was for the quarter, and depending upon how, for that same, you never know, like 5, 6, 7, 8, okay, how this data point was there. And for 2032 as well, it will actually map for the 2033. Okay. It's like it will map based on that. Fine. So that's how this thing comes up. And similarly, for example, if you just go for auto and if you go for multiplicative, it will be a different approach altogether. If you see, okay, that's how this is being coming up. Now, these are some of the predictive models, different kind of statistics that will be involved, for which this thing maps up. It's a bit complicated, and probably I can just leave it up to here, and you can have your own depth of understanding on this one. So I won't go through much on the seasonal predictive model, but I hope this part you understood, where we have the column rows where you have the prediction points, and automatically you can always go for auto in both of these cases. By default, it will be auto, and you can let the CRM Analytics engine do that particular time series functionality where it can predict the points for you. Okay? Now, the another thing which is there to understand is, for example, if you have the 5 prediction points, right, and if you click on ignore last, what will happen is the last row of data won't be there. Now, basically, depending upon this complete row, this whole calculation will be done, okay, depending upon whatever prediction model and seasonality point you select. But the problem is when you ignore last, the last portion won't be involved, won't come up. Okay, so if I click on apply, you won't see 2035-01. Okay, so that's what it is, and there will be a slight variation in the calculation as well in that case. Okay, because we are not taking the last part over there. Fine. So it's like that calculation is involved, but it's not being visible over there. So ignoring the last, what can be the impact on the other stuff? That's how the calculation will be done. Okay. So for example, if I just go for, let's say, 2 prediction points. So we have data till 2034-08, right? So it will show you up till 2034-010, isn't it? Yeah, so I'm going for 2 prediction points. So you will see it will show till 2024 010 2024 sorry 10, but if I click on last, it will show up to 2034-09, and some negative errors will come up over here because some kind of calculation got changed. Okay, again, nothing much to go deeper on this one. You can just skip this, which is automatically by default it's false. Okay, and that's the way it comes up. Okay, so that's how. So for example, right now I will just take up till, let's say, 4 only, so that I can have till 2024-12. Okay, now we will understand, like, based on this time series, how it's impacting how the chart will look like. Okay, so whenever it comes to whenever it so let me delete this counter first. So whenever it comes to displaying the chart, we always go for timeline chart, something we walked through earlier as well. And what I will do is I will quickly write over here time series points. Okay, and click on apply. Fine. And here also, like, now you can completely see the difference, fine, in the table. So I just need to remove this. So I will just click on close, and maybe I can just hide this one. So this is the time series points, and this is the normal count of rows which you see. Okay, so yeah, that's about this. Maybe if you go to the timeline chart, you will understand that difference as well over there. Maybe I can show you in some other videos, but yeah, that's it about this time series. I hope you got a gist of it. I hope you got the admin part of it. I hope the main thing to understand is, basically, if you ask me, is how this column works, how the prediction points work. Okay, and that's it. Maybe you can have a bit of knowledge on the seasonality prediction model. Knowledge, you can play around with this to know a bit of it. Okay, and again, like over here, if you just go to the timeline chart, okay, this is the normal one where I didn't apply. And again, if you come over here where we have the prediction model, and here if you actually go for the timeline chart, you will get to see the difference. Okay, as you can see here, like, this is the way this chart is appearing. Okay, but when some slight calculation is done, this is the way the whole chart, like, if you just check it out, you will get to see some slight difference where it will mark it. Okay, so maybe I can save it as time series functionality over here. Okay, okay, so yeah, I will save it in my recipe data set. And yeah, that's it about this video. uh let's meet very soon in our next video. Thank you.